But I just can't see where something like that would ever fuck with the innocent. I mean, even in these horror movies, they don't ever do it, right? And I actually, I wouldn't say I believe in stuff like that. I'll just say that I entertain the idea of validity, right? But there's no way something like that would be evil, right? The real evil shit is humans, right? Like that, that's another one. It's like, why is it never humans that are like the demonic entity of the movie, right? And I don't mean metaphorical shit like zombies or whatever. I mean, like, no, it's just the humans or whatever, but like taken seriously. But nevertheless, I've always had this sense of, I guess maybe you could call it paranormal or whatever. So, like, for an example, I have mild spectrophobiia, and the horror movies and horror games, like, they can be kind of cheesy, schlocky, whatever you want to call it, and they can be fun. However, sometimes they can, like, genuinely kind of get under your skin. So, like, for an example, I used to have a mirror right next to where my computer sits. And, if I was ever in that mood, and sometimes even just kind of normally, like, I would, because I usually just sit there in the dark. I try to avoid sunlight as much as possible. But, especially you're watching or playing the scary shit, and I start getting kind of afraid to look over at the mirror. But I was talking to somebody, like 6 years ago at this point, and they were like super into shit like that. So I mentioned that to them. Like, I have like mild spectrophobia, and it basically amounts to that I feel uneasy looking at in a mirror. Like, especially if I look at myself too long. That's something I've had for since I was like 5 years old. Like, I look at myself in a mirror and start to, I guess maybe you could call it depersonalize or whatever. But if I just kind of quick look in the mirror, depending on the context, I can feel kind of uneasy. But I mean, of course, nothing happens or whatever. But they mentioned that the spirits are probably there, and that's what you're feeling, but they know that you're not a threat to them. I don't know, whether that stuff is real or not, who knows? But if it were real, then yeah, that makes sense. you know there just doesn't make any sense why a demonic whatever would fuck with somebody who didn't deserve it. Because I mean, even in all the fiction, whether you want to do religions or this or that, it's always about whoever supposedly deserves it, whether they really did or not. There's always this underlying theme of like justice or whatever, you know, or even the propaganda extends into that, the feminism, right? It's like it's okay when Carrie does it, but it's not okay when Elliot Rodger does it or whatever bullshit. But these videos are kind of super abbreviated, but I feel like movies like Smile, particularly Smile 2, actually have a really strong ability to be an interesting sort of like look into sort of perception and all this. Because I mean, if you want to talk about hallucinations, pretty much nothing you see is real in the way that you think of it. Like, for an example, both of your eyes, that if you even actually are sighted, not everybody is, but if you are, each of your eyes has a dead zone in it where you're literally blind because that's where the optic nerve passes through the retina. But your brain does Photoshop on it and just copies the surrounding area. So you don't just have these two black dots in your field of view constantly. Um, One of the most obvious examples is like video games or drawings or like street art or whatever. If they, like they draw it from like one side of the sidewalk, it looks like a hole in the ground or something. Like, you're such a dumbass that even though the screen is totally flat, you can swear that there's like depth and three-dimensional qualities to the video game or something, to the point to where it even works in purely 2D games like Doom, right? I mean, yes, Doom is 2D. It's not 2.5D is not, it's not possible. All right, the dimensions are ordinal. All right, you can't have half a dimension. That's not how that works. It's like you can't have half of an integer. But it's so easy to simulate three dimensions to a retarded cognitive ape, whether they're, human or an actual person, that you can do quick tricks like that. And, there's all different sorts of auditory, illusions, visual illusions, right? They're illusions, not tricks. Tricks are something whores do for money. That's a reference, but I mean, the bitch in the movie may as well be a whore. I love the scenarios, and I seen somebody in the comments of one of them. They're talking about why is she like going to see the dealer in the middle of the night? It's like, dude, that's just when that happens, right? That's all the like junkie shit in the movie is the most accurate part of it, except weirdly the part about like you know resuscitation or whatever. But you know, because one of my exes is, well, most of them are junkies, but one of them, the first one, yeah, I mean, we're not going over there in the middle of the day, but kind of related to that, I've seen somebody else mention that, oh, so it's basically like, acid trip or something. I think that could be another interesting read of something like that. Like if the movie was really a commentary on all this other shit or whatever, that would be kind of interesting. And I responded to them saying that. It's like, well, if people will gouge their own eyes out on LSD or cut their own dick off on PCP, right? I mean, that, frankly, the movie looks pretty normal in comparison, right? I mean, again, these fiction movies, like, they can't even come up with something as frightening as real life, right? It's like you got these state terrorist criminals running wild that they want to, they're going to, like, you know, kidnap you into a concrete box and murder you if you don't let them and this and that. How is that not worse than, oh, a smile demon and, like, whatever, right? I mean, come on. But if you understand, like, optics and imaging systems and like, image processing and philosophy and, psychology and all these other things, you start to realize that you kind of can't prove something's real or not. I mean, the modern, like I call it dead reality theory. Look at the fucking internet, right? I mean, it's all fake. It's just an extension of the fakeness humans always had. I mean, before that was TV or radio or whatever. Um, Now it's beyond uh, literal. Like, one of them I seen that actually, so I really haven't watched movies in 20 years. But there's this one I seen called Megan, where it's M3GAN, and the first one doesn't look that interesting, but the sequel looks pretty awesome. Where it's been sort of a standard thing for quite a long time. Oh, they look like a person, but they're really a robot underneath, or like whatever stuff. But just reframed in the current context of human prison society, like it's getting to the point where you like will have to think about that, right? It's like iRobot shit, but it's like everything is just like a prosthetic, pseudo bipedal primate, and it's like, is it even real or not? To the point, I mean, you haven't been able to tell if grinder profiles are real for a long time. I mean, there's giveaways to an extent if you know what you're looking for, but I mean, if they can just go on a website to generate a convincing fake face, right? But and I've noticed that too now. Apparently, there's horror movies that are kind of leaning into the whole, AI, so to speak. At first, it's not AI. Generative neural networks are not AI, but whatever, they get, conflated like that. So it's not like nobody recognizes that there's a problem. But I mean, as you can see, the real issue is that the stuff represented in the movies is already a problem in real life. And yet, nobody seems to want to talk about that stuff. But I've just been through so much bullshit in life that, you know, there's just nothing, like, it wouldn't work on me. It's just kind of funny and it's funny. It's extra funny if you know how just weak-willed a junkie is. So of course it went after a junkie, right? Um, but there's just, it's just, if anything, it's maybe more like it's sort of like the zombies are a metaphor. How do I put it? Humans aren't a metaphor. How do I fucking put it? Zombies aren't a metaphor for humans. Humans are a metaphor for zombies or whatever, right? So if you watch a zombie movie, you're really watching a human movie, right? That's another thing, right? Not just her character in the movie, but even the smile demon itself. I mean, look at how predatory it is, right? Or like the Primogen in Turok 2. It's so hyper advanced. Why do you have to attack the peaceful village, right? Like how convenient that it would want to destroy the mind of such a weak-willed ape like that, right? But I do like the overlap with stuff like, for an example, the controller in Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. I've mentioned it in the past on different alts, but the controller in the first game is the best version of it because you have a separate kind of psychic meter, and being near the controller drains it continuously, and then it also hits you with psychic attacks if it has direct line of sight that also, you know, chip off your psychic meter. And if your psychic energy gets to zero, even with full health and armor and all that, you just die. You just drop dead. That's one of the coolest enemies in a video game. Of course, they have to fuck it up in the sequels, but also in a way, I mean, it's kind of just like influenced by like Scanners and all that. I mean, Scanners is a great movie too. And anything that kind of comments on, these ideas of what is real, what are really your actions or thoughts versus, I mean, even Scanners is just, a metaphor for the real psyop, which is just, social influence, right? And I mean, like, like just everything you see and hear and experience or whatever influences your behavior. And so a lot of stuff is really just the power of suggestion. It's like you don't need a truth serum, you don't need some psychic magical ability like that. You just need the power of suggestion. And if humans can't do it that way, then they just use terrorism, right? But it's sort of like that. It's like horror movies are just a metaphor for humans, right? Anything that's supposed to be so scary, and it's just silly to me, right? It's like Lovecraft is just no. The real unknowable is this fucking prison existence, right? Your stupid horror movies or books or video games or whatever can't even, like, they try so hard and they never come up with anything close. Like, if you have a soul, you see how evil this motherfucking world is. But you know, I can't be broken, and the real smile demon is humans, and they've been trying to do it with me my entire life, and it doesn't work, and man, it just enrages them. So they spend my entire life trying to fucking murder me and this and that. And I've gone over it a lot in the past. I'm not going to really do it, to a degree of specifics at this point. There are no other people, so nobody gives a fuck. But, still, the fact of the matter is I've actually been through shit in life, and I actually have mental resilience, and, you know, spirits or demons or whatever are not evil anyway. So they wouldn't be bothering me. But let's assume that there was one. I'm not going to be their choice, because I mean, as you can see, even the fake ones in the, like, dude, it's fiction. You could do whatever you want, and they still have to come up with a predatory demonic entity that only goes after motherfuckers that are weak-willed, right? It's like, it's funny when you hear people talk about the movie. I associate everything with like metal and gore noise or whatever. So one of the first ones I thought of was Flesh Grind, because they have a song called Destroying Your Will or whatever. Um, and kind of funny on that, and this is like truly just me, fucking around. But so I found some channel that had some like, songs from gore noise bands on it. But it was specifically, it was Minometra Raja, and there's a song called Dmitry Raskolov is Alive or something. And if you look at it, the album cover, it's like from GTA 4 or whatever. First thing I noticed on their channel is like, what is with all these GTA 4 references? Okay, well, the what is real part of this comes in with the fact that I have a sense, the song, I mean, it's gore noise, granted, right? The song sounds familiar, but I can't tell exactly for sure. And I'm sort of wondering, because a lot of these gore noise channels got deleted, and they re-upload their shit, but they changed it to have like, anime images and shit like that over the gore and all that, which is actually weirdly fitting, because gore noise type shit has always had this, connection with, anime shit for whatever reason. But it makes me think, so is that actually a real release, or is that this just them taking the piss or censoring it or whatever? Because it's just kind of weird. It's like, why would they have all this GTA 4 shit? It's like Russian gore noise, and like Nico is Serbian. All right, well, here's the double mind fuck, is that I always remember Menometra Raja being a Russian band. Well, except if you look into it, and apparently one of the members of the two is from Greece. So, like, is it really a Russian band if it's from two different places, right? It's sort of like Mancubus. One of them's Russian, the other's Ukrainian. I don't know. So even that, that's the smile demon, terrorizing me and destroying my will. I don't even know what gore noise is real anymore, But yeah, that's what it is. It's like, dude, real life is way more horrifying. This horror movie shit is just silly.